Hello, a very good evening ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you all back to my channel. As you all know, my name is Dr. Tuba, and my main aim through this channel is to guide all the medical professionals and especially the dentists who would like to consider other countries as an option to work in. So now today we're going to talk about Sweden. Now before talking about the application procedure, I would like to talk about two prerequisites for Sweden, and I would like you all to be mentally prepared with those prerequisites. Number one, just like any other European country, Sweden has its own language. The exams would be conducted in another language other than English, which is Swedish language. So all of the dentists who would like to work in Sweden, please be mentally prepared. You have to learn this language. You have to take this language really, really seriously. Only English would not be enough. And the second thing you have to do is please understand that once you submit your documentation, in European countries, generally, it takes time for the processing. I do know that, for example, if you give documents to the GDC to prepare to give the ORE, it takes less time. But for the European countries, you have to be patient. So during that time, of course, you can also think of a backup option and start working on that as well. So these are the two prerequisites. I would like you all to keep it in mind before you consider Sweden as an option. So now that we're done with that, let's jump into the application process. So the application process, just like how to start with the basics, just like how UK has the GDC, Denmark has the Patient Authority, just like that, Sweden has Socialstyrelsen. That is the main body where you submit the documentation and everything. And of course, I would post the link right below this video as well. Now, the good thing about this website is that what I have noticed is that this website is one of the easiest websites in comparison to the other websites that I've seen. It's very organized and it is very easy to understand as well. So what you do is you go to this website. There is a form that you have to download for all the non-EU dentists. And of course, with that, a bunch of documents that you have to submit. The checklist is right there. And the documents are more or less exactly similar as any other documents, whether for Netherlands or for Denmark. The documentation is more or less similar. So you take all the documents, any attestations which is needed, and the form. And of course, after filling everything, when the documentation is complete, you submit it, you email it to the Socialstyrelsen. Now your work is done. Now, once that is done, it would take, like I said before, that it would take some patience. So it will take around, it can take 6 months to 1 year to 2 years, 6 months to 1 year, or maybe more than that. So during this time, you have to do things. Number one, you can also prepare for a backup option, a backup country, because it's always good to have a backup. And the second thing you really need to do is please start learning the language. Start learning the Swedish language. If you are already in Sweden, it's a win-win situation. Do go to a language school and please start learning it and take it very seriously. If you are not in the country, you can still take it seriously by joining a course in your country if there is in Swedish language, or there's an app called Duolingo, you can start by it. Anyway, but do start learning the language. Now, once the documents are assessed, they are finalized, they are approved, of course you have to give the dental exam in Swedish. Now there's a practical exam, there's a theoretical exam, first, and then there is a practical. I will make a separate video and talk more about that later on. But right after, of course, the exams are done and you pass those exams, you clear them, then of course you can very easily work as a dentist. Now, the one thing, the question I got from in some of the emails previously was, usually they say that you need a language level of C1. So what exactly is C1? Because in Swedish language or in Danish language, we have levels A1, A2, B1, B2, C1. And it's very confusing for people to understand that what exactly is C1. So I'm not going to get into too much of complicated details that what is A1, what is B1, what is C1, because it's just going to be very overwhelming. So let me get to the main point, that what exactly is C1. In C1, at the C1 level, you need to speak Swedish as fluently as more or less how you speak English. That is how it is. So, and I do understand it is not easy because we are not born and raised with this language. We are born and raised with our mother tongue. We are born and raised with English. We are not really born and raised with any foreign European language. But of course, with consistency, with time, we all reach that level. But you have to take the language very seriously. So this is actually the main application process, which I've made it easy and less complicated. And I do encourage you all to, of course, apply for it, because Sweden is a country that would be worth it for dentists. And of course, if there are any other questions, you're more than welcome to write to me on Instagram or on my email address, which is listed right below. And to that, I conclude this video and I wish you all a very good day. Thank you.